Hold on. Don't worry about that. All right, all right, all right. Y'all know what time it is. Thursday night, June 17th, in the Counselor's Corner. Myself, David Lorenzo Glover, a.k.a. the Controversial Counselor, and Herb Lewis, the Big Bad Wolf. Also joining us, we'll be interviewing David Slick, DSL, regarding his new soon-to-be-released single, No Doubt, which is right down me and Herb's alley, because we talk about, relationships, dysfunctions in relationships, how you should date to be date for marriage, and just dating with a purpose. We have a man on here that's been married for over 20 something years. Also, he came out of retirement. Now, when you think of that, when people come out of retirement, that's big time news. When you think about the great ones like Jordan, when Jay-Z said he retired, stuff like that, and Floyd Money Mayweather. So we're interested in chopping it up tonight and have a good conversation regarding Dave Slick's history of being an artist, as well as the relationships subjects that we tackle on a week-to-week basis. So let's take a look at who Dave Slick is. He's an artist, A&R music manager, and producer. His mission is to incorporate a new genre of music, unadulterated vibes. For so many years, hip-hop has been misunderstood and misguided. Along with underground rap, neo soul, deep house, and acid jazz has been underappreciated by the mainstream music industry. DSL is here to change that. Here's some background info. Wait a minute, I'm not going to get a background info. I'm going to let Dave get a background info, and we're going to just take it from here. So let me see. What's good with you, Herb?
Hey, man, you know me, the sun is setting. That means I get ready to go to work in a few hours. I'm just sitting back, man, eager to let my man do what he do, man. This is all him right now. So I'm all ears. I'm excited to, because he sent us the song beforehand, and I was listening in. I was like, this is something different. So let's see how it goes.
All right, and without further ado, we got Dave Slick on here, man. What's going on, Dave? I ain't seen you in a minute since like back in the days when we worked at Berkshire,
right?
Detention home.
Right. Peace, family. Peace, Herb. Thanks for having me, David. For having me. The Counselor Corners members. I see you got close to 2,000 members. So peace to the whole crew that chime in every day. I had a chance to get involved with a couple of the conversations lately, and there's some interesting stuff people talk about, and I'm very excited to be here today.
Proud to have you. So tell us a little background information on this, because I know when you sent me over the bio, you had said you retired in 2008. Now it's 2021. It's been like 13 years. What gave you the drive to say, you know what, let me get back at it, whatever, because some things is just like riding a bike. Once you put the energy and the time into it, you can make it happen. So tell us about that.
Well, it's funny. I actually haven't wrote a rhyme since 2005. When I said that I retired in 2008, I had stopped just being involved with music management. I was doing some promotion. That was the last thing I was doing. I had started a company with a couple friends, Pinnacle Entertainment Group. We started that back in 2004, and I was bringing some acts to Buffalo. During that time period, I had brought the legendary AZ that used to rhyme with Nas and the Firm. Pat Poose, at the time when Pat Poose was highly known, when he did the Touch It remix with Busta Rhymes, I had brought him to Buffalo as well. And plus a couple local acts, Upstate Entertainment, and just various artists I was working with between 2004 and 2008. Now, before all of that, I just, been in love with music ever since I was a kid. My father, actually, he worked at General Motors right on East Delavan. We talking about back in the 80s, maybe even early 80s, late 70s. And I always wonder why he had like 2 turntables in this little silver box, you know, because back then, maybe late 70s, 79, man, I was only like, 7 years old, 8 years old. So I'm like, what is he doing? And he used to play around, and I found out over time that he was making mixtapes for his coworkers at work. So music has been in my house since I was a kid, jazz music especially, because that was his favorite thing. So I've always just been invested in music.
Okay. Herb, you got any questions?
No, that was gonna be one of the ones I was gonna ask. Because I had older brothers, of course, and we grew up. We grew up. They played a lot of jazz too, so I got wind of groups like Spiral Gyra, Kenny G, Herb Alford, Tijuana Brass, all those groups. So, what groups or musicians come to mind for you when you heard your father talking about the stuff or playing it?
Well, my favorite, and some of them are his, but my favorite will always be like Grover Washington Jr.
Yeah.
Herbie Hancock.
Yep.
This brother, on the top of my head, I listen to this all the time, but like Jeff, some of the newer people like Jeff Bradshaw,
okay,
Ben Williams. I'm heavy into jazz. I listen to it all the time. So, like you said, the Spiral Gyras and stuff like that. I listen to, like, I love listening to Robert Glasper. I mean, even though he's more of the neo soul base, but it's still a jazz vibe. But me, I love all that kind of music. Plus, I still deal with hip hop and I love house music. I love reggae. I just love music. That's why I call it the unadulterated vibes. Because if you really think about it, none of the things we just mentioned really get honored at any kind of music ceremony since whenever. Nobody in house music gets honored. Nobody in neo soul gets honored with all those great artists that have came out from Anthony Hamilton to Erykah Badu. I mean, I could say list, Bilal. I mean, there's millions of different people who has made great music over our time. Nobody gets acknowledged for it. So what I want to do is create a new genre, the unadulterated vibes, the 40 plus vibe, where it's like, because 50s is now the new 30s. Believe it or not, we don't want to associate ourselves with the everyday music because it don't really speak to us. So what we have to do is create our own lane and still have fun doing it.
Okay.
Definitely agree with that.
So I'm gonna go back to this retirement thing. And so was it the pandemic or something that sitting around? Because I know for me and probably a lot of other people, if we wasn't working, we had a lot of. I mean, we were working, but working virtually. But you had a lot of downtime, and you were at home. So a lot of times that's where a lot of your creative juices can come from when you're at home in your own personal space. So was that what did it, or so what was the
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be totally honest with you. This is the honest truth. I got a cousin, Kevin McCarley. Peace, Kevin McCarley. It's one of my cousins. There's a brother, Big Pete, Sean Carter, that owns Doors Records. Shout out to Doors Records. He just called me one day, probably not, and this is recent. That's why, just to be honest with you, this is probably in the last 90 days. This music I made was in the last 7 weeks. He called me and he said, "Yo, Dave, I got somebody on the phone want to speak to you." So it was Kevin McCarley, and we got to talking. He was telling me how he'd be doing some recruitment for college basketball. He'd be back and forth to Atlanta, where I live, and he just wanted to hook up with me. And then he asked, then Pete asked me. He said, "Yo, how you feel about the Buffalo Boys, Griselda?" He said, "How you feel about that movement and how they put Buffalo on the map?" And I was like, "Yo, they doing their thing." And he said he had a conversation with one of them. Was like, "Yeah, it was a lot of people, before y'all that was just as nice. They just probably just didn't take it as far as y'all took it." And he said, "You was one of them guys." And when he said that, I just kind of sat back in my chair like, wow. because I wouldn't have expected someone to acknowledge me of something that I had did maybe 20 years ago. You know, that really touched me. So the next morning, I called a couple of my old friends, was like, yo, I need some music. I got some things I want to get off my chest. And they was laughing like, yeah, right, whatever, man. You know you're not really serious about it. But then they sent the music anyway. Shout out the world famous. Actually, he just dropped the album, The Son of Rick James. It came out last Friday. I heard Dave, the son of Rick James, all the people watching. It's the dopest instrumental album out. It's dope. That's world famous. He's the producer of the track, no doubt. He sent me a record, and when I heard Anita Baker, which once again the songstress, you can't go wrong. That was my.
I heard that in there too. I heard it in there with the beginning of the track. I said that sounds like an Anita Baker track.
Yeah, growing up, man, when I used to have to clean the house up on a Saturday before I can go outside, I used to hear Angel like just running through my head, and the whole album, the whole songstress album. When I heard that sample, I said, "Yo, I need that. I gotta have it." He's like, "Well, I really wasn't, I need that." So he, he let me have it, and then how I got my brother Chase on it, somebody I had known for a while that, he had, I guess, kind of chilled out on doing music too. I said, yo, bro, I need you to do this record with me. He started laughing like, are you serious? When you started rapping again? I said, just listen to me. We need to do this for the people. So he hopped on it, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm very impressed. I'm putting all my chips in. I'm putting all my chips in on this record. This record is a big record, and I expect a big response from it. I really do.
So you got the single, no doubt. So are you working on other hits, or you already got those already in play?
Well, I got 10 records.
Okay.
I did 10 records in 7 weeks. And I'm gonna release them at the right time. But like I said, I got all my chips in on this one record, and I'm gonna ride the boat until it ain't no more water with this one record, because I really believe strongly in it. But yeah, I do have some follow-up music that's just as strong. But once again, my reason for doing this is to set precedents of this genre of music. So we're gonna move very slow as we present the music.
Like Herb said, I listened to No Doubt a few times, and I'm not one. I'm kind of old school. I like my certain artists, and then the new people I can't really. I don't know. If I can't really understand what they're saying, it don't turn.
40 plus. 40 plus. Hey,
Hey,
I don't know if we can show the illustration of the dope cover art, but it say right in the corner for everybody to see it. This is strictly for the 40 plus crowd. I mean, y'all youngers can get into it and like it if they like, but it's speaking to my people, like people that graduated in the early 90s and stuff like that, whether college or high school. This is our era. So I did it strictly for y'all and for me and for us, because we need to have our own thing.
Yeah. And listening to that, I was like, yeah, this is nice. It's nice. And even breaking down some of the things what was said. And one of the first things I picked up on was you said something like something in regards to women being a challenge. We talk about that often. They don't often like to hear it, but in that soundtrack, what was going through your mind when you said about women being a challenge?
Well, I'm gonna be funny with you. That's actually Chase verse, but I can speak on it because I've been married for 26 years. I've been with my same lady for 30 years. And women are a challenge because, in my opinion, women are a challenge is because we tend to think we know what they like, we know how to treat them, And it's better to ask, because a lot of times arguments happen and there's misunderstandings because there's no conversation. So the challenge is because we tend to be, less conversational, less in fact, we don't show a lot of sensitivity. So when it comes to having a mate, we tend to feel like it's a difficult thing to do because we don't really want to get into the mushy part of being in love and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think sometimes we may take things for granted and just assume that if she's not saying anything, everything's okay. But meanwhile, they're probably speaking to one of their good girlfriends or moms or aunts and stuff like that. And we think, hey, we ain't arguing. Everything is fine.
Mm-hmm.
Then all of a sudden, when they drop that on you, like, you need to do this, you need to do that. And you're like, where's this coming from? Who you been talking to?
Yeah.
Or whatever the case is. So
Yeah.
that's what made me think of that as well.
Yeah, I agree.
One thing's for certain, it's tough sledding.
Mm-hmm. I didn't hear you, Herb. Say it again.
I said one thing's for sure. I said it's tough sledding, particularly when you look at the demands a lot of modern relationships put on just both parties, whether it's male or female. And sometimes, it's like you said, that communication piece, it never really takes place in the way that it needs to. I think often, sometimes we think we're doing or saying the right things, and what we come to find out after the fact that it was all backwards. Should have did this instead of doing that. Should have said this instead of saying that. And I think a lot of people, if they had the opportunity to go back with certain individuals, they probably do certain things different, which would certainly give them a different outcome. But some people say that's water under the bridge. But the problem is some people never learn from those mistakes, and they just keep repeating them, and then they wonder why 10 years later they still find themselves in the same cycle.
You know what? I'm gonna say something about the water under the bridge. Before I got finished, getting on here with you guys, I was watching PBS because that's one of my favorite channels, and there was a nature show that was on, and they were talking about a river somewhere in Georgia, and she said, most of us just think of it as water under the bridge, but in reality, there's a whole nother world under this bridge.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like in a relationship. Now that we speak of it, it's just water under the bridge. But if you don't take care of that situation, you got a whole nother dynamic right up under you that you're trying to sweep under the rug. And that could be actually the issue that never goes away.
Yeah, you think about it, water under a bridge, whatever. You just can't leave. Leaving water or dust somewhere, sooner or later, it's going to create a flood or create something. And that's the same thing with like emotions, whatever. You can kind of sweep it under the rug, but those particles or water, it's going to come up. And when that flood hits, how you going to handle it?
Or it's going to erode. It's going to erode the world, erode the land. And that's when everybody's nations crumble.
Yeah.
Because it was water under the bridge that you didn't take care of. So you can look at it in a whole lot of different ways, be honest with you.
Also, I got some questions. And I know what was mentioned in there, and it might have been Chase. Because at first, y'all kind of sounded like Dan when you came on. I was like, okay, that's Dave right here. So I picked up on your voice. Carlos Muhammad said, y'all getting scientific now.
but see, he should know that everything comes from science. Yeah. Everything comes from science. So thank you, brother.
And Dietrich said, peace to the God, Dave Slick.
Peace to the young warrior, the God warrior. Peace to my man Carlos Muhammad, the whole Muhammad family, the whole nation of Islam. Actually, peace.
So something was mentioned about balance, and to me, that's one of the most pivotal words in anything. Balance. I don't care what facet of life, you got to have balance, whether you're at your job, your relationships with your children, or whatever the case is, friendships, balance is key. But when you think about relationships, and you coming into dating someone or getting involved, how do you offset that balance? Because they're going to be bringing stuff to the table, you're going to be bringing stuff. How do you balance it out? Because you've been doing it for over 20 some years, and a lot of people don't have that secret ingredient to make it last that long.
It's funny because me and my wife was just talking about this. It was like, yo, we should start couples therapy because we're young, but we've been together for quite a while, and sometimes I think these young relationships, they want to talk to somebody that they can relate to. So it's funny. I was just talking to a young brother about a couple weeks ago, and he was just saying all kinds of things. But what I would tell anybody, whether young or old, about balance is this. What works in my situation now is I just kind of like go with the flow. I'm not trying to argue, and I'm always listening to my wife. I mean, hey, people can say what it is. Oh, you a chump? No. I'm a married man, and I've learned to, if you listen to your wife and you allow her to speak and don't try to be abrasive and kind of like be argumentative, you'll have a happy home. You don't have to agree with everything, but don't try to be argumentative. See, it's the difference. You can say, you know what? I hear what you said, but I don't agree. But a lot of us be like, man, get out my face. I ain't trying to hear that. That's being abrasive. That's not being someone who is trying to be understanding, and it will tip the scales of your balance.
And see, we get into that, and I think when people hear the word submission, particularly women, they often think that means to yield to a man no matter what. And you just brought up an excellent point that if the right man is going to listen to you and is always going to consider your input. And I think far too often, especially with today's culture, we did a show on toxic masculinity about a month ago, I believe. And what we were laying out on that show is there's male behavior, and there's male behavior that's counterproductive. And what you're talking about is male behavior that's productive and not counterproductive. And as I said prior, the right man will always consider what his woman is saying because he understands that she brings a dynamic to the relationship that A, he can't, B, he may not consider, or C, he just didn't see. It reminds me of when my brother was setting up a organization for an event that they were having outdoors, and he had delegated people to do certain things, and he brought a female on. And the one thing that the female said that none of the other people had considered, and I think all the rest of the people were guys, was where are people going to go to the bathroom at? Brother and me never thought about that, because as guys, that's really something that's not natural to us to really think about that, because for us going to the bathroom outside, if we have to urinate, go behind a tree. It's what you were taught as a kid. You don't expect a woman, and certainly you don't expect a lady to do that. So those are the type of things that, submission from a man brings that balance that you're talking about. And I think men need to understand just what you're saying is it's okay to listen to a woman and consider her point of view and her experiences, because her experiences are going to be definitely different than yours.
Just to add to that, I'm not racist. I'm just pro-black. Here's the thing. If we don't slow down and listen to our sisters, they're going to go somewhere else. And then now we have less sisters to talk to, and less sisters to have marriages with, and less sisters to create families with. And then they'll go to another culture, and then it'll just be a big thing. So we have to nurture what's ours.
Oh, I don't disagree there at all.
And that's true. And oftentimes I always think about things that my grandmother and grandfather would say, and she would often say, because my grandfather used to do a lot of talking, but it also brings out the point that I always say, KYP, know your personnel. So my grandmother always knew her personnel, so she used to always say, that man just be talking. Just be talking. I ain't thinking about him or whatever the case is. And she would always, her emotions would always be under control. And sometimes I think in relationships, people don't really know their personnel because when you know your partner, you know what buttons to push or to say, yeah, let me fall back on this one, or let me take this approach because I know how she or he's gonna handle that. So it's little stuff, but it's a lot to it.
Yeah. And hey, like I said, I've been in the same relationship for 30 years, and I know my personnel, but I still learn from my personnel today still. So, it never gets old, especially if you really enjoy who you're around. That's the number one key. You got to enjoy being around who you are with. If you don't, then you're wasting your time and you're wasting theirs. And that's being honest. We got to be honest with ourselves and understand that if something's wrong there, then bring it up. Don't hold it in and just be living a life not explaining what's going on, because you're not really helping the situation. That could be very detrimental.
So we had Greg Hopper said, why does the race of the women have to be a determining factor?
Well, that was just my opinion. That's my opinion. But I was speaking in general to the fact that I hear lately a lot of brothers saying, oh, look at the sister with the Caucasian man, or oh, look at the sister with this Latino cat. They running away from us. Well, it's not that it's a determining factor. It's just the fact that we're not, like I said, we're not being the nurturers of our situation. And it is starting to be ever so present in our communities. So hey, you can pick who you want to pick, but I just say if your choice is a black woman, you have to understand that she is probably the most complex being to be with. So you have to be able to max her complexity, but do it infectious. You have to be affectionate when doing it.
Well, just so people, Greg is a very intelligent guy. Him and I have had lengthy conversations, and I believe what he's actually getting at is, does it matter if you're in a relationship? Does it matter if the individual is non-African American, whether she's Hispanic, Caucasian, Dominican, or whatever? Does it make a difference if those two individuals are in a relationship versus a black man dealing with a black woman? Is there any different dynamic between those two than it is between others?
Well, see, that's a hard question for me, because I've been the same young lady for a long time. But we hear this myth all the time about, oh, I'm dealing with this white chick because they let me do what I want to do, or they buy me this, and I can listen. I think at the end of the day, I think that respect for a woman, period, should be the goal of us as men, because you still got to present yourself in the community. So I don't think that race really determines the factor. Now that I understand what the question really was being asked, the determining factor is you. It's who you are. It's how you handle business. It's how you deal with people. And in the end, it's basically how you respect yourself, because that's going to determine how you deal with people, how you respect yourself. How do you present yourself? And we got to present ourselves better than what we've been doing of late.
And and I think that's really important, especially when you talk about, you said your music is geared for the 40 and up. So now we're at the point in our lives where Gen X people are having children and they're young adults essentially. So the landscape for them is much different than it was for us. They have so many more different spheres of influence. You know, they have social media, which we really didn't have to the point that they do. It's almost their experience being teens
Mm-hmm.
is everything's immediate, so they don't build on anything.
Mm-hmm.
So every situation is like it's gotta be now. It
Yeah.
can't be a week from now,
Mm-hmm.
months from now, or even years from now. It's gotta happen now. And I think that microwave mentality, it stops them from developing to the point where they can appreciate certain things. So if something doesn't happen right now, they're quick to get rid of it. And I think that's what your relationship is exhibiting, is that if you take the time and you build something, what you build can withstand the test of time. It's like you were saying with the water under the bridge, how it erodes the land, and eventually that embankment gives in and everything just crashes. So I think it's really important that, you know, the type of music that you're creating and the atmosphere that you're looking to create off of that music is something that we hopefully can get the kids to understand, is that
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you have to take your time and not run through life, but just walk through life. Because when you do that, you gain a better appreciation for all the things that are around you, for how things work, for how things can work if you take the time to actually put into something and not just say, okay, you know what? I don't like this right now. It ain't working. I'm just gonna walk away from it.
That's an excellent point. That's an excellent point. I totally agree with you right there. We do have to try to instill what we was taught into our younger communities and younger people. They don't want to listen, and they think they got the answers. And, you know, a lot of it does have to do with social media. A lot of it does have to do with the music they listen to and the influences that they have, and that the lack of self-knowledge, and all those different things that come in one big bubble. How can it be changed? Starting with me, DSL. I'm trying to put a different piece in their eardrum that they may be able to take and break down and possibly learn something from it. But also, it's just not music. It's just the way we conduct ourselves in our communities as well. You know, they need to see us out familied, you know, going out to eat sometime. You know, you need to see us, you know, in the parks having lunch or whatever. We have to be seen in the community as loving families. And if they see that, it becomes infectious and it starts to roll over and roll over. And the next thing you know, we have better loving communities. If they don't ever see these couples holding hands, walking down the street, just laughing and talking, then it becomes a weird thing when they do see it.
Yeah.
And that's true. Because I could tell you a lot of times if you out to eat, you see a lot of people, they're in their phones, they're not really saying anything. But then if you look across and you see a couple that's just laughing, cracking jokes and stuff, you you might sit to the side and say, the hell's so funny over there? But these people are enjoying each other and they're in a different world. They're
Right.
seeing something, interpreting what's going on totally different from what you are. So that's why when I was listening to No Doubt, to be able to break down, like, man, let me write this point down. Oftentimes I think, how many times people buy music or whatever the case is, and they never really break down what is being said. They like the beat, whatever, but they never really pay attention to any powerful words or phrases in it. And usually that's how I kind of operate with music. If it's a song, I'm gonna take a quote or something and I'm gonna repeat that, and they're like, well, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Oh, you remember they said this in this song," and that's how I kind of deal with music, breaking it down.
So see, sonically, you come for the mentality of it, the knowledge. But see, we're from the lineage of Africans, the drum.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's how we started. Boom, 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 boom. That's what we thrive off of.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a period when we had the Public Enemies, the Self-Destruction, BDP. We was really into it. Like, oh, what was they saying? X-Clan. We was like, oh, they was dropping some bombs. Brand Nubian, they dropping bombs. But essentially, it's the beat. But it's perfect when you can get somebody that has great music and can still drive home a clean message, but it don't got to be so teachy. You understand? Prime example, Tribe Called Quest. They never was teachers, but they gave you a clean message and the music was good and you could dance to it. De La Soul. Now, we know in the streets, people might be like, oh, they kind of, that's soft. But look, man, it's good music. And you gotta put a line in the sand and stop trying to be so tough and realize that what feels good to you. If it feels good to you, then you roll with it. So I appreciate that because I'm like you, David. I want to know what's being like. What's coming? What is he saying? Like, what is the message? Remember now, one of the hottest first records ever made was The Message.
Flash,
The Message. Pretty living. What do you say? Pretty lady living in a bag, eating out of trash. Like, listen, they've been was telling us a long time ago. So it's like, we can still have a message and be positive and clean, but drive it home with some good sonically music that we can enjoy, whether it be with our children, whether it's with your loved one, whether it's at a barbecue. It shouldn't be like, oh, don't play that because they cutting up, saying too much. Then that means something's wrong with that music, period. To me, that's just my opinion. I'm beyond that. If I can't play it around my 19-year-old, even though she's 19, I don't feel comfortable playing something around her that has a bunch of vulgarity in it, and we sit next to each other just vibing in the backyard. That's childish. But a lot of us is doing that. We ride in the car with our kids playing music that they listen to.
Yeah.
Like, how childish is that? You're supposed to be setting an example by not saying, oh, listen to this. Not, you don't got to make them listen to it, but you should not be listening to what they're listening to. To me, that just doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
It's funny you say that. I have an AAU basketball team that I, periodically accompany out of town. And we went to, I think it was Greensboro, Pennsylvania. And on the ride down, you'll probably like this. I put in some Pat Metheny. Long train ride.
That's that melodic jazz. I like.
Yeah, so I'm playing that.
That's that Saturday morning rainy jazz. I like that.
So I'm playing it, and they were asking what I listen to, and I said, "This is what I listen to." And then I was cycling through some old school hip hop, dropped in some special ed, all the stuff that, like you said, man, it didn't have any profanity. Things that you can listen to, things that you can play around your kids. You don't have to worry about them repeating that because, like you said, we come from a culture of drums, and that rhythm is what propels us and is what catches us. Mm-hmm. And if you start adding words to that, and if the words are toxic and the message behind it is toxic, you unwittingly start feeding the people who are listening to it a toxic message. And then we wonder why the mindset of these kids becomes toxic, because that's what they're listening to. Exactly. I mean, I've said, for months, I don't have television.
Right.
Most of what I do is the YouTube shows or podcasts, DVDs. I rarely watch television now just because of all the nonsense that they put on there. Mm-hmm. And I don't have time for it. I don't even want it to permeate my mental. Right. I don't have time for it. I don't want to poison myself with that type of message and programming. And people, make no mistake, TV is the ultimate form of programming. Mm-hmm. Make no mistake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right now on my television, if it ain't a basketball game, I'm watching PBS or I'm listening to NPR. I mean, you can call me a square as a circle, but that's basically what it is. I don't, there's nothing on TV I need to be entertained by. I learn more just watching people, if that makes any sense to you. I can learn a lot more just by watching people than watching television.
That makes a lot of sense. A lot. Okay, let me see what else I got here. And this might have been your part, Dave, whatever, and it was talking about becoming a power couple. And I know people make reference, and you see it on social media, and they average a black love, power couple, and all that stuff, and you think of the examples of Michelle and Barack Obama, Beyonce, Jay-Z, and stuff like that. But when you think, also, they're at a different level right now. But what about, middle class and stuff like that? Like, we need to probably start associating middle class individuals. Like, they're a power couple. They're on the rise and all that. So what does it take to become a power couple? Because not everybody, just because you've been together 10 years and you say we're a power couple, or we're the black love excellence, whatever those phrases say, it takes some work to get to that point.
I agree. The power couple, no, there's going to be way more people that's not like Jay-Z and Beyonce than there will be. So a power couple, it's that point where y'all become best friends. That's your homie. You speak to them all day. You check with them. They check with you. Y'all have joint bank accounts. Y'all spend your money together. You waving her flag. She waving your flag. Y'all take numerous trips together. Every Friday, be honest with you, I'll probably say for the last 15 years, every Friday is family night in my house. Nobody touches their cell phone. And whether we eating at home or we go out to dinner, nobody's on their cell phone. We spend time together. We're trying to create that power couple. It's just when you know who got your back. That's a power couple. When all fails and there's an issue, my mate has my back, and you know it. You don't even have to ask. That's the groundwork of a power couple. All that it don't really matter about your salary. It don't matter about the vehicle you make. It don't matter about where you live and what kind of home you have. Having a clean home, having a job, having ample transportation. It doesn't matter how it comes as long as you have it. But I just think the basis of a power couple is just the unity itself and the loyalty. The love and the loyalty starts the foundation of a power couple. Your wife could work at Target full time and you could be a custodian at a high school. It doesn't really matter about the rate of pay. It just matters when y'all come together, are y'all a team?
And I just want to throw back. I know you on that cleaning kit because I remember at Berkshire, it was consistent with you getting them kids up step by step. You do this, you do that. Look at this dirt here. I'm like, look at Dave, see whatever.
Well, and I don't want to get off topic. I'm glad you said that. Listen, man, you have to ask yourself, what is your purpose? If I'm working with some youth and we're in a youth detention center, I can't be like them. I need them to be like me.
Yeah.
So you need to get up at 7:30 and you need to clean your room and you need to get ready for the day because I'm up and I have to shower. And it's just replacing what is missing back. Oh, you think you're my father? No. You think I'm your father.
Right.
And it kind of feels good to you. You need that structure. Dave, you was there. We never really cursed at him or treated him bad. I was showing you love. Structure is love. So, that's part of the pieces of a power couple. Because if you got children together, they need to know that structure. You can't have no kids running in and out of your house reeking marijuana and you ain't saying nothing to them. Like, I know marijuana is getting legal in every state and that's much more free and loose and everything, but there's a conversation behind everything. And that's all part of being the power couple.
Yeah. And that leaves so many thoughts in my head, but I know it'll be off topic, and I know it'll come back up in another discussion in the counselor's corner, but you dead on. That structure is everything, and that's power. Structure is power, and also control. When you structure, you have control, you have power over certain things. A lot of times people don't want to hear those words, control, but you have to think outside the box and say it's not like you got your hand around somebody's neck trying to get control. You just kind of controlling your environment, your situation, and you're at ease, and that prevents stress when you have control or whatever. And that's the thing.
You're creating discipline.
Yeah.
See, when we say control, you're right. It sounds real like, but when you say discipline, it sounds like, oh, so nice. You know, we provide discipline. That's what's important. And y'all know that. Yeah. You know, y'all two good brothers, man. Y'all have been on this earth just as long as me. We trying to provide discipline, you know, and if it takes the structure and if it takes control of a situation to, in the end, equal out to the discipline, then that's what we got to do.
Yeah, you know, it's funny you said that, and I used this analogy on a prior show when I asked one of our panel members, what do you think a house is? And a house is nothing more than structure that provides protection from you. And as men, that's our innate goal in life and mission, is to provide that structure. That structure yields safety. Because when humans were nomads, hunters, and gatherers, women and children stayed in the village, and men provided that structure, which was the safety that kept everybody safe, whether it was from marauding bands from another village or animals that had the potential to kill. That's what men did. And Greg asked an excellent question regarding what happened to that concept that was instilled in us as kids and now. And so much has changed. I mean, you have the freedom that women have to work. You have men that aren't doing what men used to do. So you take all of that, you put in a box, and you shake it up. And then it's just like, this is what we have and this is where we are.
Right.
So how do we actually get back to that? Because it almost seems like, you know, I like to use a freight train analogy. The only way you can stop a runaway freight train is to not let it get going. And that freight train has kind of left the station and is gaining momentum. So how do we actually even address this, and where do we start?
I don't know what I did, and everybody is different. Everybody is different. For me, I converted to Islam. I converted to Islam July of 2014. I just woke up one morning, and I said, you know what? I want to change in my life, and I've tried everything. But I haven't tried Islam. And nobody forced me. Nobody said, oh, you should become Muslim. It was not that. It was something I wanted to do. But what I will tell you is ever since I found that faith, things have been different for me. Now, you could probably say and argue, and you could be possibly right, that without Islam, I could still be the same person. But everybody needs something that they can consider part of them to make, I guess, the necessary moves to make yourself a better person. You know, it's been working for me, but you have to figure it out for yourself, whether it be working out, whether it be, I don't know, relocating to a different city. You have to figure it out. And understand that not everything's going to work for each person, but don't be judgmental. Just do what works for you.
Yeah, and I think that's the bottom line, finding your niche or something that works for you. Some people will have to relocate. Some people may have to get another job. Some people may have to cut certain people off and say, listen, we've been through a lot together. This ain't working. I'm going to have to branch off, and maybe once you come back stronger, you can, you know, reunite with those friendships or whatever the case is. But sometimes that's what you have to do to make a better you.
Exactly. I agree.
All right, let me see what else I got. Now and I know this was your part too. And I remember you saying something about, your wife when you were younger, that the grandmother didn't. You were trying to get in, and she really wasn't accepting. I don't, not verbatim or what you said. That's nowhere near it, but that's how I kind of, what kind of stood out. But the question I had: when did you realize that she was the one? And was it something done or said that you said to yourself, she is the one? Because a lot of times people don't know when that person is the one, and it could very well be the one, but you missed it. It just flew over your head, and you said, no, they're corny, or whatever the case is. Oh, they go to church, or whatever the case is, and that could be very well the one for you.
Well, you talking to a walking storybook. To be honest with you, I'm probably like of the past years, this is not normal. But to make and use some transparency and try to be as vivid as possible, I used to see that young lady. I used to catch the 26 Delavan bus going to Seneca High School. I used to have to walk 3 or 4 blocks every day on Suffolk down to Delavan in front of Costanzo's, get some donuts, and then get on the 26 and go to Seneca. But when I would get up to Bailey, I would see this young lady on the bus stop. She got off the 12 Utica and would jump on the 26 Delavan bus with me. So I analyzed her for about maybe a month or two, and I was like, damn, she's pretty. This is 1988. I said, damn, she's pretty. And then, I don't know, one day she happened to be standing up holding the strap, and I might have been standing a couple people away from her, and I scooted over and didn't even know her. I didn't even know her. I said, yo, what really attracted to me, and we laugh about it all the time, she had a gray sheepskin. And see, I was into fashion as a kid, still kind of, but not like I used to be. And I was so open off the jacket, off the coat. I was like, man, where'd she get that coat from? So that made me even like her more because I felt that she was unique. You understand what I'm saying? So I told her one day, she was getting off the bus. I said, excuse me. She turned around and said, yo, I'm going to marry you one day. She like, ew. And walked off the bus. Now, mind you, we went to the same high school, but we didn't know each other. But that was my first interaction with her. I told her, I said, yo, I'm going to marry you one day. She said, ew, get out of my face. And then she just walked away. But I was so persistent that I guess she gave me a chance to be her friend. And one thing led to another. And here it is. We've been knowing each other for 30 years. Wow. Married for 26.
It takes a couple magical moments.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm glad that I did that when I did, because she's a beautiful woman. I would never trade her or ask for her to be replaced. This is what I wanted. You know, I said it. It's not like, oh, you got to live through it because you said it. No, I really meant it. You know, but this just lets you know, a 17-year-old cat was already talking about marriage. We don't even think like that as 17-year-old cats right now. So it goes back to what Herb was saying. You could tell that structurally, I was living in a different life. All that Herbie Hancock and that George Washington Jr., Grover Washington Jr., sorry. You could tell it was inside of me because I was thinking totally different as a 17-year-old when it came to wanting to be in a relationship. Now, I ain't saying it's been perfect, you know, and if you listen to the lyrics, I ain't saying it's been perfect, but I am very happy with my situation.
That's good, man. That's a good example, brother, whatever that, the years you put in, nothing but love and appreciation for that. It's big stuff, big time stuff.
Thank you, brother.
And I think one of the last things that I have on my docket, Dan, we got to hear the song. We got to hear it. But why do you think, and I know and no doubt you had mentioned something about going hard for your family. I said, why do you think that some men they stop going hard for their family? Like they go hard at one point, then all of a sudden something happens and they don't give a damn what happens, and you're like, damn, those your kids. That's the mother of your children. At least go hard and protect them or feel some kind of way. But some guys, they get to that point and they're done. And I'm like, it's crazy to me.
That's a great question. Because I can't imagine me taking a step back. I just want the best for mine. Like, I just want them to not be of need of someone else. I have 2 daughters. I need them to be self-sufficient, you know. So that's why I've went hard since they was kids, working 2 jobs, you know, working 2 full-time jobs at some time. Because I just believe that I'm their parent and who to learn from but me. They're not going to learn from some dude about how to live their life. They're going to be self-sufficient before they meet a man, so that the man that they meet can already know that they're going to have to bring their game to even be on her level. So quitting in a relationship, even if you're not with the young lady no more, you should never quit on your family, because even, and this is just my opinion, even if you're not married to her, that's still your family. You've created a family. Y'all have a child together. Y'all don't have to be lovey-dovey and hugged up all the time, but y'all created a child together. So y'all have to have a mutual respect for each other and let the child see that, so that it can help implement positive growth for your child, so that your child can grow up and feel good about themselves and not be wondering, you know, what happened. Like, even if y'all not together, they should be happy about both of their parents.
That sums it up. Herb, you got anything you want to add to that?
I do not.
So, man, we ready to hear, and the people need to hear, because I'm definitely feeling the song, no doubt. Man,
I appreciate it. I wanted to just add real quick, I have a remix to it already. It's called the G Step remix. It's dedicated for the steppers. I'm not going to play that one, but I am going to have a steppers challenge that I will be putting on Facebook in about 2 weeks with a cash prize. And I might even let both of y'all be part of my judges as well. Yeah, the song is done. The remix is done, but of course, everybody want to hear the actual song itself. So we're going to go ahead and play it. And oh, let me say this. Anybody that's listening to this show right now, if you email me your personal email, I will personally email you a copy of the song. You don't have to pay for it to stream or none of that, because it's gonna probably be delayed in release, only because that's how the computer world is working. So my email is daveslick@gmail.com. That's daveslick@gmail.com. There's no E. So it's DAVSLICK@gmail. DAVSLICK@gmail.com. If you send me an email and say, yo, bro, I want that record, I will personally email it to you. You will not have to wait. And hey, because I'm doing this out of love, once again, I'm not a rapper. I'm a music manager. So my job is to manage good music and put it out in the world so it can exist and fester into something positive. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and play the record. And I really appreciate you once again, Herb, David, the Counselor's Corner, all the members. Yo, we could do this once a month. It don't gotta be about music. I don't mind chatting. I really respect
you
this.
can come on anytime, whatever, Monday or Thursday. We could drop the link to you. You can join anytime.
I appreciate it. This was great. But I'm gonna go ahead and play the music, and y'all can leave me comments too on the email or on the Counselor's Corner. Leave comments. Let me know how you really feel, because I did it for the people. So without further ado.
Ain't no doubt about it, women are challenged. Right. Find the right one, find the right balance. Yep. Been across the atlas, I experienced plenty of women. They wasn't blind, they just ain't see the vision. They used to think I was tripping, but they see me now and they know I wasn't. Cause I done found a queen and we on the song. Empire, results of events prior. Made us what we are, and that straight fire. Take a picture and they calling it art. If we a song #1 on the chart, I used to live in the dark. Now I'm moving spotlights on me. Power couple, we just like that, homie. It is what it is. You official, handle your business. No cap, future ain't got a lid. Ain't got a top, no, ain't gonna stop, no, ain't no doubt about it. We are what you not, we are what you not. One, two. The love for you is unconditional. Keeps me high, so medicinal. When I first met you, I knew I had to sweat you. No doubt about it, I was gonna get you. Hypnotized, smile, rocking a gray sheepskin. Grandma's was strict, wouldn't let peeps in. Pretty young thing, my PYT. Shit, you was straight fire to the 3rd degree. And we're still together, LOVE. It will never change, and that's word to me. I go hard every day for my family. It'll always be first in my eyes to me. So no doubt about it, this love is real. There's nothing in this world can change how I feel. Trials and tribulations comes with it too. All praises to Allah for pushing us through.
My man Chase Dollars on the feature, world famous. Hey yo, the unadulterated. This is the unadulterated hip hop series. I'm telling you, I really appreciate y'all. Word up.
I like that. I like
yeah,
that.
man.
I can ride around listening to that. Do that. But we gonna get some closing comments and we gonna get out of here. But like I always said, the invitation is open for you to come in and join the panel anytime. We always look for, especially male feedback, because most of my people in the Counselor's Corner are women, and sometimes they're like, okay, we want to hear different voices. So we always look for different guys to come in and give their perspective besides me and Herb. So, man, you always been family, and this is a family thing right here, man. We just trying to figure all of this out, man. And
I appreciate it. Mashallah, mashallah. I appreciate it. Yo, listen, once again, that's my man Chase, featuring Chase, the illest, production by world famous. The single is No Doubt. It'll be out very, very soon. Like I said, the next couple of weeks, I'm going to have a G-Step mix, Steppers Challenge, cash prize. It's going to be crazy. But listen, if y'all give me one more minute just for Herb, because Herb is smiling so much. and he said he blew me up when he said Pat Metheny. That let me know he know jazz too. I'm going to give y'all a little snippet, Herb. This is one of the records, Dave, that will be on the latter end, but I just want to give Herb a little bit of it because he got the same kind of feeling I got. Now check this out. I wrote this song in 1995.
Wow.
Oh.
That jazz ain't nothing like when
This just a special for the people. If they actually tuned in, they getting that real unadulterated hip hop right now. Ain't no young boy stuff over here, man. No childish stuff, man.
Word. This is dedicated to my pops. You helped me a lot. You taught me how to be a man. In this unjust land, I understand everything I used to understand. Cause in 1995, I'm truly a man. You helped me see my futures and obtain my goals. You gave me crazy soul, you can see it in my pose. I learned through my visuals how to make residuals. Put my plan to work on my life, I just be pitiful. Well, that was then, this is now. It's an OG in this world, I got style. I still bust down these hot flows when I feel. And y'all dudes think it's a game, but really it's real. Try me if you feel. This is out the head, and I'm like powerful like 100 krills. So watch what you say when you see an old school dude. Cause guess what? This rude boy is still rude.
Herb, that was for you.
Yeah, man, it sounds like some Miles Davis in there.
Hey, man, I really enjoyed my time with y'all, man. Hey, yo, Herb, send me the email. I'm going to send you the whole slew of stuff. Dave as well. Once again, the Counselor's Corner. This was dope. Like I said, DSL, No Doubt, featuring Chase and world famous, unadulterated hip hop at its finest. Hey, yo, I'm going to let the young boys keep doing what they're doing. But if you get to the 40 plus range, you better get ready for some real artistry, some real rhyme skills. Because it's not a game. Like, people need people to know just because we over 40, we not slouches. I just been saying I've been just paying attention, and I'm realizing, like, no, they need to be taught. They need to be taught by grown men how to do this.
Yeah, there's definitely a market for it, and hey, man, make it happen. I wish you nothing but the best, and whatever we can do from our end, you got our support, because I'm a fan. I'm a fan.
Yeah,
Much
definitely.
Love, Much
definitely.
Love, peace.
All right, peace,
Thank
man.
you very much. Peace to all the members of the Counselor Corner. Peace. One love.
All right, thanks, Dave. We'll connect, whatever.
Not a problem.
Yeah, definitely will.
DAVSLICK@gmail.com. Anybody listening, I'll send you a copy by this Father's Day. That's my word.
All right. Peace.
Hit that man up.
All right. Herb, anything you got to say before we get out of here?
You know, yeah, man. This is nice, man. I'm smitten, man. I got no more to say, man. I dig the tracks, man. I like how he wove the little gray sheepskin in there. He told the story, and it came through for him, and it hit on all cylinders as far as I'm concerned, man. Well done, man. All praises and all credit go to you and your crew, man. How y'all hooked that up, man. Thoroughly impressed, man. You know how I am. Growth and understanding occurs, no pun intended, in the gray area. Godspeed. See you next time.
All right. And again, and you know, and if you're someone who say, hey, I got an idea, I got a vision, let me come to the Counselor's Corner. That's what it is. It's the Counselor's Corner. Bring anything, bring any idea, any vision. We just haven't opened up like that. Dave reached out to me. We haven't put it out there like that. It ain't always about arguing back and forth. I'm bigger than that. Herb's bigger than that. But if you want the smoke could be brought to you on here. But as you see, we just chilling, whatever. And I appreciate Dave, known him for a long time, and hey, doing his thing. And I'm telling you, when he drop it, I'll be riding around in my vehicle listening to it, whatever, because sound good, beat is good, and I know he's genuine and he means what he's saying. It's coming from, it's coming from his heart, and that's important. So with that said, we out of here. See you on Monday. If you got any talking points, again, we always try to empower you. Send it in. It's your choice. We done sat back and said many times, hell, y'all come up with y'all subjects, and we'll just go with the flow. It ain't always about us dominating the conversation. Inbox myself, inbox Herb. But Monday night, we gonna be here, and we gonna do what we're gonna do with or without you sending in any information. The show must go on, no doubt. We out of here. All right,
man. Everybody be safe.
Peace.